What's good, everybody? It's your brother New Breed coming through with another video. In this particular video, I want to discuss how a lot of people are claiming to be set apart. They're claiming to be chosen. They're claiming to be lone wolves, when in actuality, they're simply individuals who cannot maintain relationships. Listen, this particular video is going to ruffle some feathers, but I have to call out the elephant in the room. There's a lot of people out there who infiltrate these spaces where we talk about taking our Damascus road. We talk about being on our solo journey. We talk about truly being ostracized and isolated for spiritual growth. But ladies and gentlemen, there's people out there who actually are just horrible people, and they're trying to use isolation as some form of nobility. And I'm not going to allow them to hide their true intentions and their true character. Listen, brothers and sisters, there has to come a time where people mature and take accountability for their actions. If anything that I say in this particular video ruffles your feathers, then you have to really dive deep and practice some self-autonomy and grow a true understanding what the loner life is about, opposed to what you see being pushed on social media. See, the Bible says it's not good for man to be alone. And there's a reason why the Bible says that. See, there's a lot of people who push, divide, and conquer. There's a lot of people who want everybody separated so they can pretty much pluck off the sheep. Now, that's how wolves tend to, get their prey. Now, I want to put this out here. When it comes to the life of a loner, it simply means somebody who is truly set apart. We understand that people who are like-minded are few and far in between. But nonetheless, we never forsake the assembly. We always come together at some point with people who are like-minded, even if we have to go it alone for a season. Notice I said for a season. Now, there's a lot of bitter people out there who pretty much have waxed cold, and people just don't want to stick around them because they're negative. But you have these same people who try to take some type of moral high ground as if they're chosen by the Most High and they're set apart, when in actuality, they're incapable of loving anyone. They're incapable of actually having compassion, empathy, and this is the reason why a lot of the times they're alone. We have to address those people too. Now, of course, there's a lot of people in these spaces that do this. When I mean do this, I mean infiltrate for financial gain. They understand that there's people out there who are alone. There's people out there who are fed up with society, and I understand that. I completely get it. Things are crazy out here. When you go out in public, there's a certain countenance on people. Everybody's rude. It seems like everybody lacks patience. There's a lot of people who are just disrespectful. Customer service is horrible. Most people seem annoyed by the presence of other people. That's because the love of many have waxed cold. And as believers, we're not supposed to lean into that spirit. We're not supposed to, get to a point where we just decide that we're going to isolate forever and a day. That's ridiculous. The Most High, through his scriptures, said, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. That means we are supposed to, at some point in time in our lives, unite. But see, a lot of people out here just have poor character. And they blame everybody for their shortcomings. They never truly look at themselves in the mirror and really analyze how they've navigated with people. And everybody else becomes the blame. Everybody else was just a horrible person. Everybody else. No. At some point in time, you got to look at somebody's track record and understand that some people are alone because nobody wants to really put up with the negativity that they bring around. Nobody wants to be around those individuals. And they cannot maintain those relationships because they're just not good people. Listen, some people are alone because their demons have been exposed and people see them for who they are. We have to acknowledge this. And you know, there's a lot of people who they're missing true principles. And I'm talking about biblical principles. There's men out here who are missing some truly masculine principles about themselves. They do things that are not masculine at all because they don't have brotherhood. You know, you're living in a time where a lot of people don't have another brother to hold them accountable for their actions. So they tend to have these feminine traits. You know, I come from the school of hard knocks. I'm going to tell you straight up. When I was coming up, you had big brothers, you had unks, you had people in the streets that was going to keep you in check. And even in the truth intelligence community, let's use the Israelite camps, for example. Of course, I'm not connected with any pro-black militant groups or anything like that. I'm not with any camps or 501c3 organizations or none of that. But what I will say is there was a time period, there was an era that was needed where men had that foundation being taught to them. And what foundation are you talking about? I'm talking about tough love. I can distinctly remember when I had this brother who used to travel from DC to Philadelphia every Sabbath class. Every weekend he would go out there. He would travel just to go to Sabbath class. And he was telling me that there was a cat out there who threw a bottle at the brothers while they were street preaching. He said, man, I knew they were the real deal. I'm not going to tell you what camp it was. But he said, I knew they were the real deal when I came back the next week and that same brother that threw the bottle had a sling on his arm. He had a sling in his arm and they had him sitting in class learning. Tough love. So that same arm that he used to throw that bottle, those brothers had to correct that and set him down in class, and he sat there and he learned the Bible. Now I say that because sometimes the internet, and I'm talking about people in these spaces because sometimes the internet brings feminine traits out of these men. They're not held accountable. There's no physical accountability for the things they do and say, and they don't have other men in their corner to actually check them on certain things. And some of these brothers didn't grow up with male role models and people that really put them in check. And they believe that it's masculine to say, no new friends, no new friends, no new friends, like they Drake. They think it's masculine to just talk about how lonely they are as grown ass men. And it's pathetic. It's bottom base material that they put out when they really should be teaching men how to conduct themselves respectfully with other men. They really should be teaching the truth. Now, everybody should have that time period where you spend some time alone. I would consider myself an introvert. I would consider myself someone who knows what it's like to be able to function on my own, survive and succeed on my own. But also, I understand the importance of not forsaking the assembly. I understand the importance of promoting unity on my platform rather than divide and conquer. You got a lot of people who make this depressing material. They get on here, I'm 50 years old and I know I don't want to be around people. It's lame. It's lame. It's supposed to be about building legacy and dynasty. You know, and that is not an antisocial game. Once you between the ages of 40 and 50, you want to be putting in the work you got to put in to build your legacy here in this planet. And it takes real human interaction, and it takes a practical application with how you maneuver wisely. But there's a lot of people out here who are just invading these spaces, who just burnt all their bridges. Nobody wants to be around them. They did people wrong, and then they blame people. You gotta check somebody's demo. If a person don't have a history of maintaining long friendships, relationships, and so forth, then you gotta look at that. That's all I'm saying. And, I know that this particular topic will ruffle feathers. People will be upset about this, but it doesn't matter. What matters is that we understand that we have to look at ourselves and take some accountability if we find ourselves alone all the time with every relationship. Sometimes it's on you. Look, one love to y'all. Y'all be blessed out there. Let me know down in the comment section if this particular video provokes some thought. Even if it ruffled your feathers, let me know. But if you understand exactly where I'm coming from, man, hype the video, hit the like button, and make sure you subscribe. Peace.